A coffee costs $1.50, but the price of a hug, no one can quite measure it. In Belize, the smallest nation in the Caribbean, women don't just come for the sea. They come seeking something deeper, love, maybe, or something that only looks like it. In streets where local men smile like artists paint, there's a feeling floating between trust and transaction, between hope and survival. How did the cheapest country in the Caribbean become the most emotionally expensive destination for Western women tucked between Mexico and Guatemala? Belize is a sliver of Central America, with English on its tongue, Caribbean in its blood, and contradiction in its soul. It's a country where ancient Mayan ruins rise above jungle canopies, and yet, Wi-Fi cuts out during dinner, where the coral reefs sparkle with life, but whole neighborhoods share a single bathroom. Tourists come for the cheap thrills, the diving, the sunsets, the seafood. But what they don't expect is to leave with a heart heavier than their luggage, because in Belize, the real treasure isn't buried in the sand, it's buried in the stories no one tells. But what no one expected was this: the soul of Belizean festivals. A lobster festival, where love is served hotter than the grill, in the coastal village of Placencia. June doesn't bring storms, it brings music. The Lobster Fest transforms this sleepy beach town into a living postcard. Streets pulse with calypso beats. Hands lift cold Belizean beers. And the scent of grilled seafood weaves through the crowd like memory. But it's more than just food. It's a heartbeat. Unlike the choreographed parades of flashier islands, Belize's festivals feel like family reunions where no one remembers who invited whom. But everyone's welcome. There are no velvet ropes here, just barefoot dancing and coconut tarts passed from hand to heart. I met Clara, a local baker. She once stood behind a shaky table with her first tray of pastries, unsure if anyone would notice. She sold out in 2 hours that day. A shy girl found her voice not through words, but through sweetness. Today, she mentors young girls, teaching them not just how to bake, but how to belong. Because in Belize, culture isn't something you watch. It's something you eat, dance, and live. Would you dance your truth under open stars with strangers who feel like home? But behind the beat of every drum lies a history louder than any festival. A tapestry of history and rebirth. Before the music, there was silence. Belize, once called British Honduras, is a land with many names, and even more scars. Some say its name echoes from Belix, the river whispered about by early explorers. Others say it carries Mayan blood in its syllables. Either way, it holds stories that go deeper than its reefs, long before the British flags and colonial maps. The ancient Maya built cities of stone like Caracol, a jungle metropolis once home to 100,000 people. Its centerpiece, a pyramid named Sky Palace, rising above the canopy like a forgotten lighthouse. Even today, the stones seem to hum with prayers and power. Deeper underground, in sacred caves like Tunichil Muknal, calcified relics still rest in eternal meditation skulls fused with crystal, bones aligned like constellations on a cavern floor. But not all history lies still. Belize was once a pirate's refuge. Names like Henry Morgan carved themselves into its coasts. Leaving behind more than rum and legends, they left a spirit of defiance. In 1973, the country broke free, the only English-speaking nation in Central America, reborn from conquest and contradiction. Can a country be stitched back together with fragments of rebellion, ruins, and quiet resilience between the jungle stones and sea spray? One culture pulses louder than all the rest. The Garifuna Spirit. In Dangriga and Punta Gorda, mornings begin with rhythm. Here, the Garifuna people don't just keep culture alive, they keep it dancing. Descendants of shipwrecked Africans and indigenous Arawaks and Caribs, they arrived in Belize not by choice, but by will. In 1832, after exile, after ocean crossings, after loss, they landed. And they didn't just survive. They sang. Every November 19th, Garifuna Settlement Day turns Belize's quiet coastlines into something electric. Drums throb like memory. Women in gold and red swirl through the streets. Their steps somewhere between prayer and rebellion. I met Samuel, an elder drummer. As a boy, he couldn't afford a drum. So one night, he carved one from a fallen log, tuning it to the rhythm of the sea outside his window. He taught himself to play by echoing the ocean when he finally performed. His village didn't just clap, they wept. That rhythm wasn't just music, it was a heartbeat returning. Today, Samuel teaches kids the same way, not just how to strike a drum, but how to strike the silence with pride. Would you carry your ancestors in your palms and let them sing through your fingers? But not every rhythm is sacred. Some play out in whispers behind closed hotel doors. Boyfriend tourism. Love for sale. On the beaches of Hopkins and Placencia, some stories don't start with once upon a time. Here, love is complicated, especially when it crosses oceans, currencies, and expectations. Western women from Canada, Germany, the US arrive not just with luggage, but with loneliness. They meet local men who smile easy, dance better, and know how to listen. Sometimes it's romance, sometimes it's arrangement. Often, it's both. Locals call it boyfriend tourism. It's whispered in bars and hinted at in cab rides. Some Belizeans see it as survival, a way out of poverty, or into opportunity. Maria, a 29-year-old bartender, puts it bluntly, they want connection. We want a chance. Sometimes it matches, but for every fairy tale, there's a farewell. Relationships built on shifting sand, where love becomes currency and feelings become negotiation. Still, not all visitors come for romance. Many are drawn to the drum beats, to the ruins, to something real. Can love bloom when rooted in struggle? Or is it always tangled in need? And when survival becomes a love language, where does the story go next? To a place where struggle paints on broken walls and hope wears a spray can. Southside, where hope graffitis the walls. Just a few miles from the beach bars of San Pedro, another Belize unfolds. Southside Belize City, where privacy is a luxury and 3 families might share one bed, where abandoned buildings turn into shelters, and childhood dreams wrestle with cracked concrete. But even here, color finds a way. I met Keisha, 22, bold, quiet. She paints murals on the peeling walls of her neighborhood wild jaguars, smiling girls, stars above blue rooftops. Her brother taught her to paint when they were kids. He passed away at 17. Now she paints for him, for the kids who still sleep with one eye open one afternoon. A tourist bought one of her canvases not for the art, but for the story in her brushstrokes. That $50 enough to buy supplies for a community art class. Keisha teaches now. she says. If I can't change the world, maybe I can change how it looks. Because in Southside, survival is an art form, and art is the quiet rebellion no one can censor. Would you believe in beauty if you'd never seen it outside your own hands, but beyond the murals and cement lies the most breathtaking canvas of all Belize's natural world? The nature of Belize. Paradise under pressure. From the skies. Belize looks like a dream painted in green and blue, but on the ground, that dream breathes, bleeds, and begs to be protected. More than 60% of this country is forest. Jaguars stalk through shadowed trails. The resplendent quetzal, a bird that looks like a god's idea of grace, darts through cloud forests like a living flame. And then, there's the marvel, the Great Blue Hole, a perfect circle, 300 meters wide, plunging deep into marine silence. Divers speak of it like a holy place where fish glow like stained glass, and silence wraps around you like velvet. Belize also guards the world's second-largest barrier reef, a pulsating, kaleidoscopic underworld of coral cities and fish societies, but it's fragile. Climate change, overfishing, and careless tourism bite into this beauty like rust. Thankfully, Belize is fighting back, banning oil drilling near reefs, pushing marine reserves, training locals as eco-guards. I met Lena, a grandmother on Tobacco Cay. She wakes up at dawn to guard turtle nests. One hatchling, she named it Hope, changed her life. Would you wake up every day to protect something that may never say thank you? But here's the twist in this land of million-dollar beauty. You can live like royalty on a backpacker's budget. The value of Belize, where simple means rich. In Belize, luxury isn't marble floors or rooftop pools. It's a $1.50 coffee sipped on a wooden porch. It's fresh lobster grilled over driftwood, not plated, just perfect. It's silence, salt in the air, and stories shared with strangers who feel like old friends. In a world obsessed with more, Belize offers enough. A full meal, $5, a clean place to sleep. Walking distance from the ocean, maybe $30. A conversation with someone who isn't trying to sell you anything. Priceless on Caye Caulker. I met Maria, a fisherman's granddaughter, who now runs a beachside grill. One morning, she invited me behind the counter. My grandfather used to feed the village with one net, she said, tossing lobster tails onto open flame. We didn't have money, but we always had people. And that's Belize in a shell, not poor, just profoundly human. Would you trade 5 stars for 5 smiles that feel real? But Belize isn't just a cheap escape. It's a lesson, and it's time for the final chapter. In Belize, nothing is quite what it seems. A lobster fest isn't just a party. It's a protest against forgetting. A painted wall in Southside isn't just art. It's survival with a heartbeat. A tourist's love story isn't always romance. Sometimes it's a rescue mission. Other times, a mirror. And the Great Blue Hole. Maybe it's not just water. Maybe it's what happens when the earth sighs so deep, it forgets to close up. This is Belize, where the cheapest things carry the heaviest weight. A nation born from broken empires, fed by jungle, raised by song. It doesn't sell you paradise. It invites you to feel it, flaws and all. Because in the end, Belize doesn't teach you how to travel. It teaches you how to feel again, how to value laughter over luxury, how to trust that something real can be found in places no one's advertising, and how sometimes the richest journeys are the ones that cost the least. If you've ever fallen for a place not for its beaches, but for its people, drop a Belize in the comments. Tell us, would you trade luxury for something real? And if Belize stirred something in you, wait till you see what's hidden in Angola, a land where music rises from struggle and beauty grows wild through war scars. And as always, welcome to the Global Trail, where we blaze paths across our world.